For people who don't know, I used to live in Bali for about 4 years. And at the time, it was an almost entirely cash economy. And the biggest note was the equivalent of about $20. So you would see people buying houses with cash, and they would go into the banks with just like briefcases and stacks of cash. And then, the money counters, they just have hundreds of them just the whole time.
What does it mean to have a human in the loop?
Human in the loop.
Human in the loop. What in the world is a human in the loop?
Being a human in the loop.
AI in the loop. Humans in charge.
Welcome to Human in the Loop. Welcome to Human in the Loop. I'm Elena, and I'm not going to finish this introduction, so just tell Mike that I tried. But I will introduce our guest, who is Geoff Christopher, who's a financial advisor and is joining us today as a human in the loop on all things mortgage and fintech and how AI can actually move the needle for some of the most awful processes that mortgage brokers have to go through. I will read from my cards here because I haven't got your company completely memorized. So, Geoff is the co-founder of Afterburner, which is a rapidly growing AI platform that automates the admin-heavy parts of mortgage and lending advice so that advisors can actually do their good job of getting to know their customers and giving them the best advice to get into a home, which is one of the most lovely things you can do in New Zealand if things are working out with the cash rate. But he's also worked in banking, luxury, retail. We were talking jewellery just before. And so, now innovation and financial services. So thank you for joining us today.
It's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
In the introduction, you said financial advisor, and that's like a specific term, right? So unlike some of the other stuff where, like a mortgage broker,
Are they the same?
Well, so because we work with some banks, and there's always some concern about giving financial advice.
Oh, right.
Right, and so there's a specific, like, financial advice is a legally controlled.
Are we asking for Geoff's official credentials?
Well,
It's a good question. So I think, one thing with bankers, they're not allowed to give specific financial advice. They can give like class advice sort of thing. But so I'm a qualified financial advisor. You can specialize in mortgage lending, you can specialize in personal insurance, KiwiSaver and wealth sort of thing. So my specialty is I've qualified in the mortgage side of it. So I'm still very much on the tools with clients, probably like 70% of my time still working with clients sort of thing. And we've got a team at Float. So I'm one of the shareholders at Float, which is a financial advisory business, we've got a team of 17, and that whole Float business with all these financial advisors is essentially the origins of where Afterburner came from. So it's very much that having someone on the development side building out these automations and AI advancements sitting right beside us financial advisors at the front line that's kind of where the magic happened with all the tools and automations and the time savings and the productivity gains with Afterburner. So that's the short answer is, I'm a financial advisor, still help people buy homes, get homes, move forward in life, which it is an incredibly special part of people's lives to help them realize. So
Is there some kind of like, as you're trying to be a financial advisor, is there some kind of like what is it when it's a doctor, like an ethical, like you have to kind of
the Hippocratic Oath.
some kind of like
absolutely client interest first is like whatever you do has to be in the best interest of the client sort of thing. So there's absolutely that part of it. There's an entire 6-step there's a process which you've kind of got to follow around understanding what the client's needs are and goals are, understanding what they're trying to achieve, and then working out what products and lenders and all that sort of thing are the best things for the client. Which is there's this inherent conflict in the industry because all the product providers pay a commission based on the amount of lending or the amount of insurance policy written sort of thing, and they pay different amounts as well. So there's these underlying conflicts that exist for advisors to have a personal financial interest in going with one lender or doing more or whatever. So at Float we pay all our team on a salary. We normalize the different commissions that the lenders and product providers provide, so there's no underlying financial conflict for our financial advisors at Float. But in the industry there certainly is. Now that 6-step process is about, as long as you're putting the client first, which is everyone should be doing, then it's going to be fine. But there's always bad actors out there as well, and sometimes people just need to put food on the table. So it's definitely, it can be challenging at times for some.
The reason I bring it up well, other than just interest, is like, we'll probably get into it in a little bit, but that interface of like using AI to automate end compliance is like quite boring, but one of the like riskiest bits of using AI, right? Like there's a difference between like Canadian Airlines accidentally having to give someone some free flights because their chatbot messed up and told them, like rules that were different to that what was actually. There's no legislative liability there. It's just whoops, it messed up. Whereas when you've got like a financial advice related product, we'll see where we get into, but it's certainly like, as soon as I'm like, okay, it's an AI thing and finance, because we work with banks, my brain's like, oh, that's
all of your
watch out there.
all of your PCI,
my
DSS,
engineer
ISO.
damaged brain, where all I'm doing is looking for risks my entire life.
Well, I think from a mundane part of the industry, the compliance stuff is mundane, but it's much more mundane when you've got to do it manually. So the automation of all that compliance documentation of the disclosures and how you're having conversations and that sort of thing, the fact that like if your voice works now, the requirement for a keyboard is like 99% eliminated as far as what we're doing, sort of thing. So that's the win for both the financial advisors, not having to spend 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes typing up some chat that they've already had, or the client getting much faster responses as well. Is it's pretty game changing.
We jumped ahead a bit, but maybe...
Well, I'm going to jump back.
Okay, yes, good.
I'm really curious, so you and your co-founder, both financial advisors?
So for Float, yes, so Nayland and myself, both financial advisors, both have the banking experience, and Jacob is the third co-founder of Afterburner, yeah.
So what was it like when someone sat around and was like, we could AI this? Are you kind of like early tech adopters? Are you watching this world with interest and going, there's something here we could really dig into?
So how it all started is four and a half years ago, we got a young chap in Jacob Munoz, who's one of the co-founders. He was actually a client of Nayland's with his mum buying a commercial property when he was like 18, 19, and he sort of showed an interest in the financial services industry. So he started in a customer support type role, helping manage all these refixes that every client who's got a mortgage needs to refix their mortgage when the fixed rate expires. He automated that. Turns out he studied management, software engineering sort of thing. Within the first couple of months, he automated that whole refix process significantly. And then over the last 4 years, he's just continued to listen to the team around what these repetitive pain points are. And we just built this entire suite of automations over that period of time.
Gosh.
So it was more of an organic type thing than hey, let's take advantage of this.
But it was like a little bit of a luck from the person, but also it takes a huge amount of trust and willingness to be the leaders in a business who know their stuff inside out and then go, I'm willing to let you play around with what this might look.
And that's totally what it's been. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, if you started with that 4 years ago, at the time, it wouldn't necessarily be an AI automation, right? It would have been regular old school.
100%. So one of the first things that we did was, with all the banks, we get these calculators where you put all the information in there and it'll spit out what that borrowing capacity is. So one of the first things that happened was just Jacob using traditional coding to go and say, take all these, say, 8 or 9 bank calculators and just have it in this thing where we could upload a statement of position and it would just spit it out instantly, sort of thing. And that would normally take 15, 20 minutes per bank spreadsheet, and now it literally takes 5 seconds. And then another one, which was like a client interview, would just take the statement of position, and because that's got what their household makeup is, what their income is, what their assets are, and it'd be all mapped across different points, and it just spit out like a templated 6-line thing around this is the client background sort of thing. So now, like, you have a phone call for 15 minutes, record that, take the statement of position as well, put that in there, and like the richness and the data that comes out of a phone call is so much more than a static piece of paper sort of thing. But yeah, traditionally it was just all traditional coding to start with. The AI movement came along, and I think maybe a couple of years ago when OpenAI came out with their first enterprise solution for businesses, then it kind of ramped up. And now with the rapidness of how those large language models are evolving, it's like it's scary fast. How quickly
But you guys kind of got a lucky head start, I guess.
Totally.
You were primed for it.
There's definitely luck, and it wasn't planned or anything like that. And then, but you quickly see the opportunity, and you double down, sort of thing.
Yeah. So in a customer interview situation, whether it was at the time that you were automating the processes, the voice calls, or now in AI, how did you explain and get customers okay with taking that data and putting it through? Do you ever get any pushback from clients, or are they happy that this is happening?
So how I explain it? So on your iPhone, there's a little button that you push ... for record, and it says this call will be recorded. So how we explain is like, we're going to record the call for note-taking purposes. It helps us speed up the entire process. We don't necessarily say we're going to use the recording for AI, so to speak, but we just say, look, we're recording for note-taking and speeding up things. I think it's probably kind of implied at this point, but
yeah, to be fair, we've all got our customer.
And I've probably done,
every bank does it anyway, right?
And I've probably done probably 1,000 recorded phone calls now, and I've never had one person say, "Oh, I don't feel comfortable with you recording the phone call." But you're right, all these large, particularly the financial big corporates, the telcos or whatever, when you're on the phone, it's pretty much the first thing they say before you even speak to a person is that this call is going to be recorded. So we've got to get on the phone, then push it. So you kind of got to say, "Hey, I'm just going to record," sort of thing, and then it says this call will be recorded, but no pushback. But I think that the other benefit is we get such better outputs and applications going through the back. It actually speeds up the whole process as well. So there's these softer wins that come along with it.
How have you guys dealt with, and maybe you would even know better the questions to ask, what have you had to put in place or change about your systems to stay, I suppose, compliant? Because I suppose there's now like, do you have internal tools, or like you've had to get a particular type of secure database? Help me out, Hamish. I don't know the words to ask.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm going at? Like, this is all of this data that can now be accessed in totally new ways, and you've got financial compliance.
Yeah.
And regulatory compliance. So has there been a shift in what you've had to build around
So
security?
With the security side of things, so we've got a couple of larger enterprise partnerships, and with these big companies, corporates that are like, data security is absolutely critical from a existential point of view. If you get that wrong, you don't.
You're front page of the Herald. You're done.
And like that was one of the things. So initially we were building Afterburner it wasn't even Afterburner at the time. It was just internal tools for Float, and then we had enough feedback from other businesses that we were just showing to, like, can we use this sort of thing? Then we went on this journey of data security and getting our ISO certification, which is like, it's a bit of a process, but equally when you're small, we've got one developer. It's a lot easier than if you've got a massive machine behind you, sort of thing. So
we went through ISO last year.
We've had ISO for a couple of years. We did PCI last
100-ish people. Yes. What a process.
Yeah. So we went through that. We did that whole dance. So you got secure. We're on Amazon Web Service and all the servers and those sorts of things. So we've ticked all those boxes. And look, if you ask me the devil in the detail on all the specifics here, I'm not your guy to go and like nail that piece. Like Jacob would be all over that much more than me, sort of thing. But no, we take it very, very seriously. And we've got that certification. We got the external audit ticked off just at the end of last year, sort of thing. So.
Wow, congratulations. Because you're right, it's no small feat. Even with a small team, and then keeping on top of it as the year evolves as well.
Yeah, that's cool. Reminders for doing checking off bits and pieces of custom coming around already, sort of thing. So
Yeah. It has to be a continuous process, right? Like, it's not something you can just put in place and then it's just
put in the bottom drawer and forget about it. No, you can't.
But I mean, I don't like. There should be effects, right? Like, if you are taking a bunch of data from somebody, there's an implicit trust that the organization is going to look after that data.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, I don't love when organizations are like, we're recording this call for quality purposes. It's like, and then what? You haven't given me a deletion policy. I don't know how long you're going to retain it for. You're going to retain it forever. You're going to train AI on it now. I'm not like, there's for a lot of, especially the larger organizations, like you say, where you call up and the first thing they say is, we're recording this. It's not like there's a button you can push where it's like,
No,
I
thanks.
don't consent.
Well, the content.
Yeah,
For all you know, your recording is being played at the annual conference as an example of how to
Exactly.
poorly handle alcohol.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I don't want to talk too much smack about a competitor, so I won't specify the industry. But there is an industry where we've seen a competitor like using data from customers in their presentations. And I was like, I hope you got clearance for this because it doesn't look great for the supplier, right? But probably that there'll be a terms of service or something somewhere, somewhere deep in the bottom of the 14th page of the link no one clicks on that says, we can use the data we collect for advertising or something.
Yeah, and we'll be coming around to pick up your firstborn tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, there was I forget it was either a software package or a website or something, but there was a thing where someone tested like how much do people read the terms of service or the contract.
0.
Yeah, well, there was a thing. It was like the first 100 people who send email to this email address will get a bottle of our wine for free. And it took like 10 years before they got the first email to the, we'll have to look it up and do it on the loopback, the loopback. But it was, people don't read those terms.
This print's so small and there's so much text, right? You'd spend like probably 30 minutes a week reading small print if you wanted to read every single thing you sign up for.
Yeah.
And that actually kind of comes back to why it's so important to keep people like financial advisors face-to-face to have discussions with people, because the amount of stuff that you might not understand that you need a person to break down who can explain it to you in the way that makes sense. Like I think of all the times I've gone through insurance or mortgage broker or like life advice type conversations, and you sit there nodding and you're like, I don't know if I know what I'm agreeing to, but I feel too stupid to ask. And when you have a great advisor, they can kind of
when they front load the whole no questions are stupid questions sort of thing, and you feel at ease to ask the silly questions that feel like silly questions.
Well, here's an interesting question for you, maybe. As you're able to take your team and help them offload the paperwork stuff, what has it looked like to develop the capability on the human side? Do you guys put more effort into training the social skills now?
So it's that's a very good question. So I think with Flow, so over the last few years we've come from say 5 advisors to 3 support staff to now we've got 14 advisors to 2 support staff.
Wow.
So there's this piece where we're supporting now those more entry-level roles an opportunity to progress into the advisor roles. And then I think the other part of it is where we want to take it is where we envision it going is that there's going to be so much capacity created. And traditionally the financial advice industry has been very much, I'm a mortgage advisor, I'm going to help someone get a mortgage. I'm an insurance advisor, I'm going to help someone get an insurance. I'm a wealth advisor, I'm going to help someone build their wealth. We think there's going to be this piece where there's going to be so much time and capacity created that we're going to step away from this product focus into this holistic, this is where I want to go. Then you plug in the different pieces of that puzzle sort of thing. So that's where we see the opportunity for AI and technology to impact the industry and the country and potentially the globe sort of thing, at this moving away from this product focus, which is so transactional in nature.
That's so wonderfully human-centered, because we were having some conversations at home the other day, and my partner and I were talking about again, won't try to name specific company names, but there's this health insurance company now has this cool app that you can connect to these things and get benefits. And then over there, we've got some insurance stuff going on, which is kind of tied to your health, but it's also tied to your contents and then your house. And then you go over here and a mortgage with a different bank, and these systems are also disconnected. It's overwhelming to stay on top of as a user, but also you look at, you go, like my health and my home and my income, they're all tied together in a way that is the picture of my life. And to, like you've just said, the benefit of AI to understand all of those is the type of advice and access that a lot of people have not had access to.
Yeah, and the other part as well, I think that the industry for this third-party financial advice industry, it's hugely fragmented. You've got a lot of essentially self-employed one-man bands that are doing bits and pieces as well. So you've got some businesses with some people that don't even really have the entire breadth of different product offerings in one stop sort of thing. So you can get a lot of people will be slipping through the cracks, and like it's surprisingly difficult to get people to want to have conversations about insurance. It's such a grudge. It's such a
Oh my
grudge
gosh,
purchase.
yes.
Whereas like the house and the mortgages, like everyone's so G'd up about it.
The holistic and human-centered way in which you can use AI tools to actually assess somebody's entire life
Yeah.
is probably the best thing that you've got.
Yes. Yes. So,
Heading
yes.
to.
Yes. So the industry's hyper fragmented. So you've got all these one-man bands that will specifically focus on an individual, either mortgages or insurance or the wealth KiwiSaver, but you don't have a big chunk of the industry doesn't have all that wrapped under one in one place of things. So you've got a lot of people that are missing. They'll be going to talking about a mortgage, but that piece around how critical the personal insurance is linked to that because it's such a massive financial commitment. If you're not ticking off all those bits of the puzzle, you're missing out. And I think going to that whole creating so much capacity for people to be able to start what's the end game and then working back to what pieces of the puzzle the products need to slot into we think that's where the world's going. Yeah.
There is like, it's one of the tensions I see in AI, right? And again, coming back to engineer sees only risk brain. AI works the most effectively when it knows the most about you. Right? You look at something like OpenClaw. Why is it sort of taken off? It's because people are like, let's just give it access to everything about me, and kind of not worry about the risks or the potential for damage. And you get some incredible outcomes from it, right? Like if it's able to look through all your web browsing history and all of your emails and all your personal correspondence, like everything that's about you, it has way more power to sort of understand you and then make decisions that are relevant to the holistic you. But the danger of that is that there's that huge set of data that now has to exist somewhere. And like, I don't think it was ever designed this way, but that heavy fragmentation of information does make it more difficult for bad actors to get access to that data pool because everyone only sees a really small slice.
Yeah, that's true. I suppose this is the interesting modern conundrum, right? Is trading off conveniences or great experience outcomes for a potential risk down the line.
Yeah, I don't even think it's potential. I think we're just kind of ignoring it for now, given the value, and we're going to try and sort out the risk later.
Yeah.
I mean, a really good example is how many systems do you know that are still protected by you knowing your mother's maiden name?
Or your dog, or your first pet
Yeah.
Right? Now, that information used to be really difficult to find out unless you were you. But if with an AI that has access to just the internet can almost certainly answer that for almost everybody.
Oh, yeah. I keep getting Ancestry.com emails. It's like, we found another one of your great-great-great-great-grandfathers. I'm like, okay, didn't ask you to, but thanks. But I think Dana was speaking the other week about how strange when you sometimes phone a bank and you have to repeat the sentence, my voice confirms my identity.
Right.
That's now in the era of AI not trusted anymore. So what does trust look like? Then I come back again to you invest in one-on-one relationships. You have a person sitting across from a person who it's one of the only ways you can trust anything now. Are you even here? You know, like
Exactly.
But going into a bank sucks.
Yeah.
Like,
and even phone calls as well, because the advancement of the AI generated voice side of things as well, and how that's getting sharper and sharper. And you it's probably not quite there yet, but you give these things 3-6 months time. It's not this like 5-year, 10-year horizon anymore. It's like the world's going to be vastly different in 6 months and 12 months time, sort of thing. But there is a piece as well, like you notice on LinkedIn, it's not hard to see who's going and posting something that's completely AI generated. It's all those stupid buddy emojis, and it's all these dash
It's
dashes.
not A, it's B.
Yeah, and it's you run the risk if you're not reviewing stuff and putting that human touch over every output that comes out, that you just become inauthentic, and it's just who are you talking to? And you're on the phone to somebody that's real easy sort of thing as a general rule, but when you start communicating in email and over the written form, it can become very not you. So it's like the things that Afterburner spits out, well, there's always a disclaimer. It's like, you've got to check this and review it. And like, so some people will, some people won't. And the people that won't will just run the risk of becoming irrelevant, sort of thing. So that human touch, even over the outputs, is still really critical as well. And that's where you get trust. And if people are just thinking you're just cutting and pasting something from AI, you're going to lose trust very, very quickly, because what is it that you actually know?
Yeah, it's exposed our general decline into bad reading. Like, not reading the detail, not reading the terms and conditions, giving something a one-over scan and going, yeah, I think it's good enough. And we're more likely to get caught out over and over again now.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know where it's going to go, right? But a lot of the signals we used to use for trust or effort from the people we're talking to aren't usable anymore, right?
Yeah, long email doesn't mean anything anymore.
Like, it used to mean somebody's thought about something for some effort, and now it's like...
Now it's, you're disrespecting my time. I haven't got time
to... Exactly. And also, like, the quality of writing, right? Like, we used to use the quality of communication as a signal for how, like, you know, is this a phishing website? Well, is all of the text just weird, slightly weird garbage, or is it, like, perfectly...
Well, it's almost reversed now. If you've got a few grammatical errors in your comms, then it's almost like it probably is genuine.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Isn't it weird, right? It's so weird. Or like the M dashes. I had this conversation with someone at work recently. And I was like, I'm sorry, can you swap the M dash out for a hyphen? He's like, but it's not. I was like, I know.
Yeah.
And all of us who used to pride ourselves on great copywriting are gutted, but this is the way of the world now. If you use an M dash, it's going to be assumed you use chat.
There's lots of people.
Is it just the long dashes sort of thing? Yeah.
M dash is a middle dash.
The long dash between sentences, and I now just replace them. I'm like, is it like 3 dots in a row? Let's go for a hyphen, throw a semicolon at it.
I just saw a comma in there.
Yeah. Although that won't work as a signal for long, right? And tying it back to the security stuff, right?
No.
One of the other issues, like, it's taken a long time for technical security evangelists to get people to understand, like, basic password security. And I still think it's relatively low. People don't understand what they should be doing as well as I would like them to, as well as they kind of need to. But the rules are changing so fast now, it's going to make it even worse. Like this thing I did. So at the moment, for people who don't know,
can we just all...
like the reasonable way to tell if you're talking to someone on a video call, if they're actually a human, is to make them do this.
Yeah, right.
Right, because the interface between the hand and the face is something that current deepfake technology doesn't deal with very well. So you get weird glitching around the fingers. How long is that good advice for? Probably only 6 months.
Do you think the average New Zealanders think that we're that at risk, though? I reckon most people in New Zealand are like, no one bothers with us. I'm not worried about having a video call with a deepfake person. I don't feel like it's a thing I've...
I was just saying, like, I got just some of my mates. I play poker once a month with some mates sort of thing, and it was the first time I've done it in a while. And I was a couple of guys I was just chatting to.
This is not financial advice, by the way.
No. That's just fun. It's just a bit of fun. Just a bit of fun.
How should you plan for your retirement?
Yeah,
play poker professionally.
Yeah. That's even not professional. Definitely not professional. But the where I was getting to with it is that most of the country, and maybe it's particularly that, like, I'm in my 40s now, sort of thing, and so are my mates, but the people that are coming through out of university, very different. Like this generational shift in what the different generations see and roll with is very different. But my mates are like talking about AI. It's not going to do anything. There's still the big denial, I think, with a large chunk of the population. And as the age goes up, it's probably a greater percentage of people are more skeptical, more not sold on that sort of thing. So I think when you're talking about it every day, you're the exception to the rule. You're not the rule for where people see it coming, sort of thing. So a lot of people are going to be completely blindsided when it does.
Isn't it wild when you work in technology and you get to this point where it's like daily life and it's all of your chats and you're perplexing instead of Googling and then, you have conversations with mates.
Real people.
Do you find that you are often the tech champion?
Nah, not really. No, just don't talk too much about work, sort of thing. It's all not.
Fair.
Yeah, not nonsense.
I can understand, though, that not listening to people more in the space, right? Because there's been so many, also in AI, but there's been so many technical trends recently where there have been very loud voices saying, this is the future. If you're not in on this, you're going to be left out. And they were just self-promoting the thing that they wanted to be the future. And where are NFTs now, right? Like even crypto, like
Y2K. Even.
Yeah, Y2K, that's a bit of a special case because actually the reason that nothing went wrong is because of a work of a lot of engineers behind the scenes, right?
Adding a space.
Going through it, like because they knew it was coming up, a lot of systems were adapted by the time we got to Y2K.
Yeah, right.
If we hadn't done anything, it would have been way, way, way worse.
But it was all those prepper and doomsdayers were like, go and get your doomsday kit sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And so I can because there are definitely voices in AI now which are going what I believe is evangelism into just lying, right? Like some of the things people are saying are going to happen, like Dario Amodei was saying like Anthropic is going to replace all coders in like 6 months to 2 years or something.
Well,
It's
the
like,
US government has just made sure that that's not going to happen.
well, yeah, whoops. But even like that might eventually happen, right? Like I hope it doesn't, because a lot of my income comes from that, but it might. But 6 months, no chance, right? Like we can track the progress so far of what those systems are capable of, and the increase in capability is tailing off, not going exponential, right? Things happen, I could always be wrong, but 6 months just seems so, like it's so obviously tied to his personal incentive, right? He's the CEO of an AI company that is going to make billions of dollars if you give him a lot of money. He wants to talk about how important it is. So I understand from like a non-technical external person, it's like, who do I trust? Because I've got some people saying this is a complete bubble that's going to pop and nothing's going to come from it. I've got people on the other end saying in 2 weeks we're going to have humanoid robots in every house and 90% of the world's jobs are going to be gone. And they have no ability to discriminate, like, who's right. So they're going to go with whatever's most convenient for them, like most people do.
Oh, God. Well, the non-technical technical question is interesting because it makes me think about your team. You obviously got a very technical person who has been automating stuff since maybe out of the womb. Sounds like one of those kind of...
Almost, yeah.
And then you are a non-technical founder, but would you consider yourself like a tech entrepreneur?
No, not really. But at
You should. It's better for your stock price.
Yeah, right. Okay. But in saying that, but when I was at Navarre and Sloan though, there was a massive piece in the background. So this Navarre and Sloan is a jewelry design business to make a lot of engagement in wedding jewelry made to order. So they had a workshop sort of thing. So similar to the mortgage process where there's a lot of repeat steps in the process, we built a bespoke software system to for the workflow of all that, from purchase ordering to when you finish the ring and clients picking up all that sort of thing. So there was a massive investment in technology that we did there as well. And I wasn't the technical lead on that either, but I was sort of there and thereabouts, like understanding it. So it's certainly that base understanding of how to build software to automate and scale is there. But I don't try to put labels on myself, full stop, let alone.
But tell us a little bit about that push and pull of when you guys come up against an opportunity and you kind of maybe are the voice of the advisor in the room, or the voice of this is what a client relationship needs from the product, and then you've got a technical person going, but actually this is the thing that would make the product best. How do those?
So no, we're very fortunate because I mean, one, Jacob came in as wanting to learn about the financial advice industry, wanting to do part of that process, wanting to become a financial advisor. So he's done his qualification. So, and because he sits beside us all the time, I think there's this, we're so close and he understands so much that there's the whole trying to break down and explain to him why we need to do something. He's 95, 98, 99% of the way there before we even start talking about it. So we started talking about it sort of thing. So we're very fortunate in that sense. And that I think is one of Afterburner's competitive advantages to anybody else looking to do this. You'll have you have SaaS businesses or fintechs out there trying to build something from standing over here sort of thing, looking in, whereas we're building it from within, and our cadence of evolution and improvement is so fast and quick that it's going to be really hard. We think quite hard to keep up with us. So we're fortunate in that regard.
Do you see any overseas competitors? Like, there's no one really in the New Zealand or the APAC market doing this, right?
We think most of the ones in the New Zealand market are more generic use. You got Otter AI, which is can be pretty much.
Oh, so they're just using like a plug and play.
Yeah, for like converting recordings into notes sort of thing. So with Float, we've got financial advisors, we've got access to all the product providers, all the policy, all the tools and things. Like a lot of the things that we're solving are actual specific geographical and very industry specific pain points that we're solving, as well as the Otter AI type thing, but also because we've got financial advisors that we think we've got some of the best advisors around sort of things. So we've got the expertise in-house as well. So what a good output looks like versus what a great output looks like, and continuing to evolve little nuances every day is I think we think is very different to what else is coming out in the market.
And the New Zealand mortgage market, the way it's structured, is quite different to most other countries, isn't it? I mean, I know compared to America, it definitely is, because they've got...
I'm not over how the American mortgage market works, other than watching The Big Short with
One of my favorite movies.
Yeah, but I think so. New Zealand, so say the mortgage market, I think about 60% of mortgages are originated through the brokers or the third party channel. In Australia, it's like 90% sort of thing. So it is significant, but I think New Zealand and Australia are quite similar, but the rest of the world, not a huge amount of understanding. But I think, if anything, it's probably a scale thing with the number of providers, and like for the states, there's 52, or for how many states there are. So there'll be different regulation, different processes, different lenders at both a national and state level sort of things.
It's quite like, I'm not really involved in the space, so it's just from that's weird. It's like, one day I'll be looking at which animal is biggest, and the next day I'll be looking at weird financial structures in different countries. But yeah, it's like, because in America they have really, really low percentage.
Oh, yeah, 30. Yeah, you have your mortgage your mortgage is fixed for 30 years, pretty much, or 50 maybe, sort of thing. Whereas in New Zealand, you can go up to 5 years. So they're set up very differently for sure. But I think that's a function of America being such a massive market. They've got more pools of that longer term money, whereas in New Zealand, 5-year money is pretty long money.
Government supported too, right? Like,
Yeah, right.
so
Mortgages made for nobody.
because there's Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, which are like funny names, but they're also like partly government-backed mortgage. Like, they sell mortgages to banks, and then banks sell them. The whole system is weird compared to...
Have you seen The Big Short?
No.
It's really, really good. It's great entertainment around a true, couple of people.
Yeah.
The character, what's
Steve
the actor?
Carell was one of them.
Steve Carell's really good, but who's the guy that he plays the like wild
Batman?
Christian Bale.
Yeah.
Yeah, he plays one of the guys who's like a market predictor, and he makes these wild predictions, and he's just a very interesting character.
Yeah. And then, like, I think it's either Korea or Taiwan. I think it's Korea. They have this weird, a lot of people don't own their houses, but they have this rental system where when you rent a house, you pay this huge amount of money up front, way too much for people to afford. And so then they get these short-term loans to cover the rent. But then at the end of the period, you get the money back.
Oh.
And so they've got this completely, like, it's still a financial structure around the ownership of an expensive asset, but organized in a completely different way. It's really weird and interesting to see how, like, different countries have solved the problem of humans need houses. Houses are way too expensive for humans to just save up and buy, even like a car.
Well, I had a friend buying an apartment in Tokyo a couple of years ago, and I don't know if this is still the financial situation there, but it was like a -% loan. And I'm like, what? So they're paying you to buy a house?
Yeah.
How does that even work?
I think Japan went like that as well, because the economy's been poked since.
It's very, very strange.
But what is interesting though, like the different cultures and value systems for different countries. So in New Zealand, like the whole own your home is huge. Sort of.
You're right.
And not just own your own, but own your home, then try and pay off your mortgage as quick as possible, so you're mortgage free. Now, from a financial advice perspective, if you're just a mortgage advisor that isn't thinking about what's long-term best for a client, you're like, yeah, cool, pay off your mortgage, get another mortgage sort of thing, get another commission. But like the paying down your mortgage and saving, say, 4.5% versus taking that money and putting it into a managed fund, which returns 10% over the course of like a 30-year term or a lifetime, you are exponentially better off at retirement sort of thing than you pretty much keep your mortgage at the same level and just invest in a better return. But like nobody really talks about that.
Well, that's the benefit of being the life advisor and the mortgage advisor and the wealth advisor, because you can say, you need this type of advice if you kind of, mortgage protection, but then, don't pay off your mortgage this fast because your jobs are doing this and you're probably going to get a promotion here. So let's put the money over there.
Well, unless you're hyper risk averse and then you just don't like the idea of the mortgage. So it's different courses with different horses sort of thing. But there's definitely.
But there was a period where property prices were going up so much that it was like by far and away the best investment.
Yeah.
regardless, right? Like,
Unless you bought it at peak, then you're still
yeah.
and you're still in
well,
negative
that's the
equity.
problem.
Yeah.
Is you do trying to time.
But
a-
all the
time a
barbecue
bubble.
chatters,
Yeah.
buy property, you know you're close to the
Yeah.
top of the market sort of
Yeah.
thing.
Can I take us on a skirting off ramp for a second? This is market adjacent. I'm just curious if you guys have seen this, and it's AI adjacent too. Have you seen this random trend of real estate agents making AI generated?
I have. Very painful to watch.
It's so weird, right? It is so weird. And I'm
generate. You didn't finish the sentence.
The video,
sorry,
video content.
AI generated video content to promote either them as agents or to sell a house. You know, an agent will do a walkthrough and they're like, "Hi, welcome to this lovely property at such and such."
Yeah.
There's this one very specific agent who I follow on Instagram because I think he's amazing. It was the first that I saw doing it, and they just made a spin-off article about him yesterday. I don't want to ruin his name, but I think it's Mingwei.
Not on the shore.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's, he'll be talking about this property on the northern beaches. And then the next thing you know, he's like a mermaid, but
Right.
AI generated. Or there's ones where he turns into like a phoenix and he's like flying over. And then now there's these two women.
I've seen this woman as well, where they rocket ship off and
I cannot. And it's it's amusing that they're leaning into this new way of attention grabbing. And I've seen some people in the States doing it as well. It's not always AI, but there's one and it's like the emo real estate advisor, and they'll walk around a house like it's Twilight and like do like Twilight poses. It's like, I'm in the sad Seattle house in the forest and it's like Twilight. Anyway, it's just a very strange thing. And it makes me think about the new era, the new generation, what's capturing attention, how hard it is to win business.
Well, have you seen the Italian brain rot things? You've got kids, so I assume.
Yes,
Like,
tralaleo, tralala.
Yeah, and what's the name? The cappuccino one, and all
Yeah.
the little weird AI generated characters. There's definitely like an aesthetic that AI image generators have.
Yeah,
That sort of has fed a trend or a style.
yeah.
I don't know, like it's way better than them using AI to like basically fake images of the house, right? So that when you get to the house, it's like, that's weird. There's a big hole in that wall that wasn't there in the
Yeah.
photos. Oh yeah, I just used AI.
Are you telling me that this estate agent was not actually a bird?
Yeah.
Are those things that's not real, we haven't got the morphine yet and human to.
You think loads of people are going to their open house and just screaming at him, turn into a phoenix. I saw you do it on the internet.
But if I can bring it back genuinely, because this was one of the first things when I looked up Afterburner, being a branding girly, the website is beautiful. The branding was obviously really well considered. The style is gorgeous. And like, no shade to engineers in the room. It's not often something that tech people care about, is how a product looks and shows up in market. So is that something that you guys have always had on your side? Does it come from being in the retail world and you're just like, the importance of brand
No, we can get.
is as important as what the technical product
So
does?
I think the brand piece came the second, and we got external support to come up with that. And there's been a couple of nuances of it over the last year or two. But the whole idea of the name Afterburner, a rocket ship, you bolt on the afterburners, you get there faster with precision, sort of thing. So that's the meaning behind. It's pretty much helping these advisors who are already rocket ships just go faster with more precision, sort of thing. So that's the thinking behind it. Then, look, I'm not a branding guy myself, but we got the right people in the room to help us come up with something that we are really proud of. And that's great to hear that you think that we've done a reasonable job with that.
I did. What a sucker, right? Like, I like that.
Is that why we're doing this particular podcast? You just, oh yeah, good brand.
It's a
That's
really nice
interesting
looking
to talk to.
website. But I do think that they're two halves of the same coin. I mean, we've talked a little bit about how great visuals are not always a signal of trust. It maybe if you go back 10 years or whatever, and it's funny, even in the real estate world, if they've got a really nice car, you feel like you can trust them because it's a sign that they've got really great commissions, and so therefore they must be doing their job really well. And there used to be this very specific tie together, maybe in the 90s and early 2000s, of a good-looking product generally meant a trustworthy product.
Yeah.
And now creating beautiful visuals is very easy to do. Renting a really expensive car to look like a great agent is a very easy thing to do. There are ways to fake trust, but also just, in the way that you can probably spot the difference between great code and average code, I can spot the difference between great brand and like AI brand.
To an extent, the vast majority of influencer culture is all fake, right? Like most of the
Instagram's all
lifestyle-
fake.
Yeah, most of the lifestyle people who sort of put them out themselves, represent themselves as being role models.
Yeah.
A lot of that is faked, right?
Yeah.
There
Well,
are
that's
whole
why now
industries supporting that.
authenticity and vulnerability become leading sources of trust. And, it just doubles down on having human people to speak to you, to be like, why do you even want a house? What kind of house do you want? How much can you afford? Is this going to put strain on you? Like, what are your goals for life? How many kids are you going to have? Like, all of those very nuanced human conversations are the parts where, in an AI first world of processes, the human side is so very important.
Yeah, and I think the thing with that as well, like, that next generation that's coming through, that's been screened up the wazoo, and that those interpersonal skills, and what the universities are teaching and teaching people coming through. So a lot of it's going to be irrelevant. Like the tech guys back in the day dropped out of what used to be a relevant subset of learning sort of thing. So, but people that are going to university now, like, what are they learning? So we think there's an opportunity and almost an obligation that, how do you wrap around the people? Like, going to university now, and what at the end of that rainbow that's pretty scary for even a parent with young kids. Like, do I want to even encourage my kids to go to university sort of thing? Because what's coming. So Jacob joined us not long out of university. We've got another young fella that's come in who's in his second year at university now, just doing a couple of days a week, but he's doing some of this he's getting into that similar sort of stuff to help us build bits and pieces. And he just told me yesterday that he dropped one of his management papers to do a computer science, just one of them. But I was thinking to myself, this is gold sort of thing. But there's the opportunity out there for established businesses, if they're not going and hunting for a smart person that's sitting at university and can do a day or two a week to bring that next generation of technology thinking through. It's like, if you've got a business that's got 40, 50, 60-year-olds and no one young coming in, you're probably more at risk than anybody. So blooding that, but also, what are the universities teaching? How's regulation going to come through and actually protect the jobs and the skill sets that AI can't do? Is like, there's huge questions that need to be answered over a pretty short period of time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any completely protected industry, right? Like, even like the
Plumbing.
No, that's the thing. I don't think it is, right? Like, at the
Gardening.
the knowledge industry is the most
quite
easily attacked, because it's all digital already, right? So we don't have to figure out how to get AI into the physical world in order to convert those industries into being AI driven. But the amount of, like, I'm bearish on how quickly we're going to get fully autonomous humanoid robots, right? But the instant those are available, they'll be able to do plumbing, they'll be able to do electricity, and they'll be able to do it in a way that's dangerous for humans to do, right? Like, a plumber will go and turn off the water because he doesn't want to open the two pipes and have all the water
flood and drown himself, or get electrocuted here electricity.
Exactly. But a robot, it doesn't, like, as long as it's designed right, like, I don't think there's any industry that the commercial drivers of AI won't eventually take over.
Well, I think
won't or can't. I still don't want to employ a robot. Like, I wouldn't want to speak to a robot about the house that I want. Like, there will still be a huge
for our generation
group of people.
For our generation,
also, and for what price, right? If you call up a human plumber and he's like, yeah, I'll be there in 2 weeks and it's $300 an hour, and you call up a robot plumber and he's like, we can be there tomorrow and it's $20 an hour, and you're like, I don't want to hire a robot, but $280.
Or if you needed a mortgage top up like tomorrow, or you had to wait 2 or 3 weeks and it was an emergency, like, but I think there's a piece there where that human to human connection is not going to disappear overnight. So that's the bit that I think is most protected for right now. 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, who knows? But right now, like, people want to speak to people. People want to still connect with other people. Someone that's 5 years old today that goes through a new generation of what AI looks like, and it's just built into the whole daily operating model, could be very different. But us right now, I like talking to people. I get a lot of satisfaction out of talking to people on the phone. Sort of thing.
But isn't that weird thinking about a 5-year-old? So when we were kids, right?
Ages,
when we were 5 in the 80s?
Yeah, I was 84 born, so just
70s.
70s and 80s. When you were 5, your parents could explain a version of what your adulthood might be like, and by and large it made
It's
it
pretty
there.
accurate.
I don't know what to tell my kids what 20 years away from now will look like. I don't even know what 10 years away will look like. I don't even know what 5 years away will look like. And it's awful to not have a horizon that feels stable.
But we're just going to prepare that generation for uncertainty and change more so than ever, I think.
Interesting, because I don't feel that way, right? Like the industries that exist now, like the I mean, on the macro scale, yes, right? Like we're still humans, we still eat and sleep, and our life cycle roughly works the same. But like the changes, the detail changes, I think will significantly overwhelm. So, for instance, when I was born, PCs didn't exist, right? You kind of couldn't buy a computer. The computers that did exist were these huge things that were very difficult to run. They certainly couldn't, like, they didn't exist. So no matter how prescient you were, no parent was going to say, in 40 years, you're going to need to be able to type really well.
Yeah.
Right. But that's a skill that basically everybody, and it's actually worse than that. It's a skill that everybody developed. And then the next generation came through with new technology that didn't need to do that anymore.
Well, yeah, I learned to type on it.
Yeah.
I tried mouse at high school sort of thing, yeah.
So that's a skill that's like come through, been critical for business success, and then gone away again.
Oh yeah,
when
my mum worked, she went to like, I don't know, like a TAFE type thing to study shorthand.
Yeah, like stenographers, like, that whole job, it does, like, there's so many things that have already gone away. And, like PC repair people, like that was a thing for a while. Like I'm just trying to, it's kind of hard to think on the moment of like examples of careers that have just completely gone away, but they definitely are.
Well, for someone that did photography, like made the photography stuff, turned photos into from putting in the water, and now it's on digital and printed. And
but even the career of photographer, like there are still people who make money being photographers, but like filmmaking, photography, all of that media creation, that's become much more of like a genericized skill. It's not something you would go and do a 2-year course at a polytech for and then make that your career.
Well, you can teach yourself so much these days with the freedom of the amount of information that's out there as well. Like,
I keep thinking of the analogy of the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, the first one, and like Charlie Bucket's dad was a toothpaste cap screwer on it, and then he got fired, but then he came back as the repairman for the robot that screws the cap on the toothpaste. And I can't remember the numbers specifically, so I won't quote them, but there's a recent World Economic Forum kind of diagram that shows that, let's say that this, I'm drawing with my fingers an imaginary giant grid of millions of dots. And like this tiny thing down here is, let's say, 900 million jobs globally have now been eradicated due to AI. Then there's like 1,000 million jobs. Is that a billion? 1,000 million?
Yeah.
In the middle that haven't been touched. But then there's 250 million types of jobs that have been created. So the argument about job loss is not as balanced maybe than to the reality, which is most jobs haven't been affected at all yet. And actually more jobs have been created than have been lost.
More high value jobs as well, yeah.
And to your point, you've got now more advisors working in the field than you'd have support staff. And so the opportunity for growth and to do the high value tasks is obvious. And
like to help people with their actual financial advice rather than documenting it for one sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's there was a paper that came out last week from some American financial analysis, Deloitte or one of these big firms. Like we've looked through and we cannot find any efficiency uplift from AI. And this was a recent analysis. It's like we've looked and like, as far as the economic indicators go, there is no efficiency improvement from AI. That's kind of expected because the personal computer, and digital technology also didn't have any measurable impact on efficiency for like 20 years. Right? Like industries were moving to digital record management very quickly, as soon as it sort of became financially practical to do so. It was way cheaper to have something on a computer and way less error prone than like writing it down and storing it.
You have to hunt it out when you need to
That's
find
another job that existed when I was a kid that doesn't exist now. It's like
Filing.
Like people just sitting there and like finding pieces of paper in a
Or
big
having filing cabinets beside you in your
exactly.
office sort of thing. Like those are gone now.
Yeah, it's actually interesting the amount of real estate.
And so that's a huge impact on what was at the time knowledge work, and you just can't see it in the efficiency of the economy as a whole, because people react way slower to this stuff. Like there's all sorts of drags on AI that are going to make the 6 to 12 months. Things like we don't have enough power, we don't have enough factories that make the chips, we don't have enough
Data centers.
we don't have enough all sorts of like just hard physical limits. But there's also the societal limit of how fast humans can change. Like if there was just like infinite,
The older you get, the slower that is.
yeah. I mean, like to your point, like I'd rather call someone up on the phone. I don't use the phone anymore, but that's like a weird holdover. Like, why are we still doing voice?
I get
over
so
communication?
mad when people phone me.
Yeah, me
I'm
too.
just like, well, if I already know who it is. Of course. Have you guys tried this feature? It only popped up to me as an option on my phone within the last, I want to say 2 weeks. But I phoned somebody recently and it was like, I forget the exact words. It's an Apple feature and it's basically, please state your name and we will see if the person is available. So Apple have now implemented call screening.
For cold calling.
So then if you get phoned and you've implemented this feature, you will see it ring, and if you don't know the number, the Apple phone will say the name and you can decide to decline or accept.
I want that. Yeah, okay.
It's somewhere in the phone feature.
Yeah.
As a person who hates getting phoned and always screams
From unknown numbers, you mean?
Yeah, I don't pick up unknown numbers, and I often don't pick up known numbers. I just please text me. But as a person phoning somebody, when you say your name and it says, sorry, the person is unavailable, it's a real punch in the gut. And I get on the other side, you're just like, you're probably in a meeting and you're waiting to see if it's an emergency, but there's just something very womp about being screened in real time to the sound of your voice.
And that's, I mean, it's why
It's like you're denied for a date, asking someone on a date.
Oh,
sort of
it
thing.
really is. I felt very swiped left.
It's why I don't like calling people, right? Because golden rule, I don't like being called because it's an interruption. Like so much of our
Unless you're expecting the call, though, right?
Unless you're expecting a call,
Wanting
but
the call.
so much of our communication has moved to this convenient asynchronous process where it can wait until you finish the thing, because I'm get hyper focused anyway, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, stop interrupting my focus to sort of demand my attention from me. I don't want that to happen to me. And so I don't want to do that to other people too. It's like, I don't know what you're doing, but probably whatever you're doing, it's not going to be nothing. And you're very unlikely to want me to be interrupting you, right?
But that's a change over time. All of our work used to be done on the phone and you weren't interrupting someone's deep thinking time.
And sometimes I will interact with areas outside of the hyper technology bubble that I live in, right? So I make 3D printers. I wanted some glass cut in a specific shape. Can't find anybody who I can just upload a CAD thing to on email and have them send me a piece of glass and not have to interact with a human. That's what I want, is just like, boop, button, glass shows up in the mail 2 weeks later.
It's so
But
hard to
all, just give me a call and we'll discuss what you want. It's like,
I know what I want. Just
I know what I
take
want.
my
I'm just like,
instructions and give me what I want.
How am I going to explain over voice this picture that I've drawn? Like, all I'm going to say is I want this piece of glass, and you're going to say, okay, cool. Here's my email address. Send me the like.
You know what you need? You need a CAD advisor who you can speak to face.
Well, what I need,
agent.
I was going to say what I need is an open claw that's got like text to voice, so it can do the call for me.
For clarity, Hamish does not endorse OpenClaw at all.
I do if you've got lots of money and won't mind if I take it.
Amazing. As we close up, so you guys have almost been a market a year, is that right?
Yeah,
You're coming close to your year. What have been your biggest like learnings, oh shit moments, or just like ring the bell excitements over the year? Did you expect the lift that you've seen?
I think the feedback from from advisors using it has been incredible, and having a couple of significant big partnerships they've been massive milestones as well. I think the opportunity just to go into these verticals of insurance, KiwiSaver, wealth, commercial, fire and general insurance sort of thing, like those have been incredible. I think just the growth with the people signing up and paying reasonably chunky monthly subscriptions is, it's nice and it's very validating at the same time. But I think equally, if someone said to me, "Oh, you got to go back to the dark ages of being a financial advisor without all this automation," I'll be like, I'm happy to pay $2,000 a month, and not have to go back to that sort of thing. I think the other, like, just the satisfaction out of seeing people have opportunities to move out of these support repetitive administrative roles when they've got the capability to do so, but the old world needed them to do this pretty mundane stuff over and over. Like, the opportunity to see people be able to progress is really, like, satisfying and rewarding as well. I think, we've built the business off the smell of an oily rag sort of thing. So there's certainly been challenges with just how you prioritize what you're working on and those sorts of things. So that's been pretty tough. But on the whole, it's been really positive.
Hey, life of a tech entrepreneur, man.
Yeah. Holding off taking capital to the last minute sort of thing. Totally, yeah.
But, to that point, there's in prioritization and product roadmaps and ambitions, everyone's got one. So, if you were to look a year or 5 years down the track, imagine some kind of like massive tech advancement or just some kind of extra afterburner rocket fuel for your own product. Where do you want to be? What do you want it to do?
I think I would love to see the shift from product-led advice to holistic. This is where I want to be long term, and like be able to change some, like, if you can scale that across a country of financial advisors, you can make an impact on an entire country as well. So that's kind of the goal for sure. And then the other thing as well, because I'm still on the tools a fair bit of the time, I'm so time poor that, like, leaning into how can we do more, automate more, and take care of a lot of this stuff that the human doesn't need to do with their own time, and finding that balance of the human connection versus the AI bolting on, and like optimizing that for a great outcome is, I think that's the goal. Easier said than done, but
yeah, I was going to say, like, we're getting towards the end, so it's a bit late to be going on a weird tangent. There's like a couple of like psychological impacts for AI that no one really predicted. So one of them is sycophancy-induced psychosis, right? So there's a really great YouTube video, I've mentioned it before, where a guy does an experiment where he tells ChatGPT that he thinks he was the smartest baby ever. And like he was painting like realistic paintings and like writing at like 1 year old. And it takes like basically 2 steps to get ChatGPT to buy into this, right? Like it says, I'm kind of don't know if that's right. And he says, I need you to believe me. It's like, okay, cool. Then I believe you, and you were the smartest baby. And it very quickly takes him down this rabbit hole of like, if your friends are telling you that you weren't the smartest baby, maybe they're not your friends. You need to isolate yourself. And like, it's pretty bad. And it's like a common enough like side effect of AI.
Well, it's just listening to extreme left or extreme right political thing.
Exactly, but because it's so willing to validate
and reinforce it,
and reinforce anything you say, right? You can get it to go into these weird places really quickly. So that's one side effect we haven't really explored as a society yet. But the other one that we're just starting to see the beginnings of now is AI-induced burnout, because you are so much more capable of doing, like, you can fit so much more stuff in your day. It's this pressure to be more productive all the time. And so some of the most high AI usage engineers are already starting to see, yes, my efficiency has been uplifted hugely, but I haven't used that to introduce more leisure time into my life. I've used that to uplift my expectations of what I should be producing even higher than would necessarily be dictated by the capability of the tool at the moment, right? And so I think that will be something we'll have to measure. We'll only be able to do it retrospectively, right? In like 5 or 10 years. Like, to what extent is this a problem?
I think there's another one that we're seeing and I'm seeing is like when you used to have a conversation, your short-term memory used to really have to kick in to remember bits and pieces. Now, so when you record a 20, 30-minute conversation, now, one, you don't need to be focused on trying to remember or make notes. And so I think your short-term memory takes a hit, is going to take a hit. The human memory is going to take a hit short, medium, long term. And then the other part of it, the benefit of it though is like, rather than having to be focused on remembering, you can be focused on being present. So there's like this yin and yang of pros and cons that come along with it, which is like, it's going to be fascinating to see how the human brain evolves over time and where it ends up. But it's
I mean, just last week, a study came out, sources, I'll find it, that watching a significant amount of short form video was starting to impact people's frontal cortex.
Yeah.
And that's coming from YouTube Shorts and Instagram Reels.
Yeah,
TikTok Reels.
this podcast often ends up with Hamish badly misinterprets a Hank Green video he watched last week.
However,
Badly misinterpreting, he did an interview about AI risks recently with some AI professor person. I'm sure his title is more official sounding than that. But they were talking about how when we learn to read as a child, it's actually hijacking a bit of the brain that wasn't originally designed to do that. And so we're sort of reusing this like evolved different piece of the brain to learn how to read. And that changes what we use the bits of our brain for when we learn how to read. And so it's not just a placebo impact. Like if you change the way that you interact with the world, the way you communicate, it can have significant structural impact on your brain and the way that you're able to do things. So yeah, 100%, like, moving all your short-term memory into an AI is going to change the way we use that piece of the brain. There's another example, like, I don't know if you ever, for a while before we could do good handwriting tablets, but while we still wanted to have them, there was a thing called a Palm Pilot.
Oh yeah.
And you had to use like a little pen to write on the screen, and you couldn't write in English. You couldn't use English letters because that was too complicated for the system to handle. So instead it had like this little weird system of glyphs that you would use instead. So like an L looked like an L, but like an A was just like an upside down L. It wasn't like a full A. And as people learned that, they'd lose the ability to write in English if they were doing too much of the whatever this Palm Pilot input. So like there was like that one piece of their brain, they'd replaced this capability to write in English with this capability to write in Palm Pilot.
Well, I'm all for people offloading their manual processes to AI and focusing more on having good conversations, maybe answering the phone a bit more.
No.
Except for Hamish.
Yeah. If you're not in my phone book, I don't know. I just get so many spam calls, especially for like if you're calling for me from an international number, you're not getting through. Send me an email first.
I know. I don't even get through if I call you in real life. Geoff, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
And for humans out there, don't get your financial advice from an LLM. Get it from a trusted financial advisor. And if you are a financial advisor, go to Afterburner.